Okay. Hi guys. Today we're going to talk about the Olympics. So really exciting topic. You're going to need this PowerPoint, and then you're also going to need the assignment titled "The Olympics of Old versus New Olympics." So we're going to focus on learning why the Olympics were created, what kinds of games were played, and then we're going to compare and contrast the Olympics of ancient Greece with those of today. All right. As always, my office hours and email, and the link is posted right there for your convenience. So our learning target is I can examine the establishment of culture in Athens and the impact that it had around the world. And we're going to really detailedly look into the Olympic Games. Success criteria is we're going to explain how the Olympics were created. We're going to describe why the Olympics are still important to us today. And then we're going to compare and contrast the Olympics of ancient Greece to the Olympics today. Before we really get into it, this video here does a really great job explaining the origins of the Olympics and then making that like small connection to the Olympics that we have today and why they're important to us today. So please watch this video. It's a really great resource for you guys, okay? All right, so when did the Olympics officially start? So the games started in 776 BC, and they were held once every 4 years. So that means that if we start having one in 776 BC, the next Olympic Games would be held in 772 BC. Okay? And remember, in BC, our dates go backwards as we get closer to today, right? That's the weird thing with BC. Our dates get back as today's date. The date that's closer or further away from today is closer. Like this is older than this one. This is older than this one. That's today. All right. I know that dates can sometimes confuse us. But like I said, they were held once every 4 years. There was only a summer Olympics. There was no winter Olympics. There's a summer one. You had to be like a person of Greece. So you couldn't be from another country coming in. You had to be a person of Greece, a Greek citizen. They were held in the city of Olympia. The Olympics, Olympia. Coincidence? Not. Greece, and Olympia is kind of like where Zeus's temple is at. And so that's kind of like a place dedicated to Zeus. And the whole event only lasts about 5 days. There's lots of events, so there's lots of things going on, but these Olympics were really great times where these city-states would stop fighting with each other. And if we remember a city-state, it's a city with its own government, right? It's not like, you know, a president over an entire country. It's a city within a country that has its own government. So it would be, if we're looking at today versus Greece, okay, it's our world versus Greece. We have the country or the area of Greece, which is our equivalent to, I'm going to use a different color. We're going to go with red, America. Okay. Then the city-state back then, we're going to use Olympia because that's what we're talking about as being an area of starting. That would then be like today, Grand Island. Okay. And so if we are using this model, then Grand Island has its own unique government than Lincoln. And it doesn't answer to Lincoln, and Lincoln doesn't answer to Grand Island. There is no president of America. America is just the name of the land where all of these little cities are inside of. Okay. And Grand Island and Lincoln can be fighting at any time, like legit wars. All right. And so these Olympic Games were really popular because they provided a sense of peace. It stopped the fighting between all of the city-states because every single city-state, just about every single one, would send athletes to go and compete. and people would cheer on the person from their hometown, very much like we do today with people that we cheer on the U.S. Olympic team, or maybe you cheer on the Mexico team or the El Salvador team or whatever team that you love. Okay, I love Great Britain's horseback riding, the equestrian team. Like, they look awesome, so I like to cheer for them for horse racing. But you cheer for your team, the people that you are, the people that you identify with. And so that's what ancient Greeks did as well. They cheered for their athletes that came from their own city-states. And they did a lot of races. And this is kind of what one of the arenas looked like. And so the track is very similar to what we have today. You've got people everywhere cheering loudly. And this is all within Olympia. So I'm going to move my thing kind of right here. What was the purpose of the Olympics? Why did they even have them? Why did they even start them? They're a festival celebrated for Zeus. Zeus, remember, he's the head god of all the gods. So this festival is to celebrate him. And it's a kind of a religious festival mixed with athletics, okay? Many of the events were linked to different stories about the Greek gods. There's different myths about how the Olympics actually started. Some myths talk about the involvement of the gods starting them. So like the gods up in the on Mount Olympus, they would hold their own Olympic games amongst themselves to see who was the best of the best. And then it was brought down to earth when the Olympic gods would come to earth and interact with the humans. Other myths state that certain heroes like Hercules started them to honor his father Zeus, his godfather Zeus. So maybe the Half-Bloods started them. So there's lots of different myths on how they actually started, but the purpose is to honor the gods for the ancient Greeks. That was their purpose. These games intended to bring peace and harmony and return to origins of Greek life among the city-states. It was something that everyone could identify with as being part of the Greek games, the Olympics. If you were Greek, you did the Olympics. It was kind of a heritage bonding assemble. And it happened every 4 years. So every 4 years, you just had this 5 days of no war, and it was peace. And you were all celebrating the gods. You were participating in the athletic events. You were cheering people on. It was a break from the warring side and politics and anything that was negative. But it also brought people together through those events, as well as like you got to cheer for your city to win. And so some of the things, and I have this on the slide afterwards, but some of the things that were like the different events that people could participate in, you have disc throwing over here, disc throwing over here, and you've got this like big disc, and you're going to see how far you could throw it. And we still kind of do that today. Then there's horse racing, there was bareback horse racing, and then there was also chariot horse racing. So this is an image of a chariot horse race. And maybe you guys can see, but right here, this woman is presenting something to this man. And what she's presenting is an olive wreath. So I'm going to try my best to kind of enlarge the image. But basically, it was a wreath with a bunch of olive leaves on it. And I'm trying to draw as best as can. Maybe you recognize this symbol as something of like, oh yeah, that's like what the Greeks wore, or that's super Greek. But it looked kind of like this, okay? And that would be placed on top of the person's head who won that event. So whoever was the fastest at driving their chariot, whoever ran the fastest, whoever threw the disc the farthest, whatever the event was, whoever won that would get a wreath made up of olive leaves, and that symbol that they won. And so today we have something similar. We have the gold, silver, and bronze medals, but back then it was just the olive wreath. They didn't have the medals. So that's kind of what they did to symbolize who won the event. So what did those original Olympic events look like? Well, the winners, like I said, they wear a wreath of olive leaves, and then a flame would burn in the center of the main arena. And I'm going to put the title of that in there, and that's a me thing, like, Whoops. But the main arena is called the I believe it's the I don't want to say the word Pentagon, but Pyathlon, I think. But it's this image right here. This is the main arena. And so the flame would be placed either on one of these pillars, or maybe it would be inside of these little buildings right here, but there would always be a flame there. And it would burn throughout the entire Olympics. It was the ever-going flame, the everlasting flame. The athletes, however, fun fact, the athletes were always male. Females could not participate, but they were also naked. So all of these events that they're doing naked. And some of the events that they did, it was called a stade, which is a race with 200 runners, and you ran about 210 yards. You could do a Dia Lewis, which is a 400-meter race. You could do a long distance race, which is 3 miles long. You could do wrestling, kind of like over here, boxing, chariot racing, horse racing, javelin, which is this thing right here. It's very similar to just throwing, except you have a stick with the point at the end, and your goal is to throw it as far, and it will go up, and then it will land. And then long jump, and that's just where you kind of stand in one place and you jump to see how long you can jump ahead of you. So those were some of the events that were at the original Olympic ceremonies. So what do the Olympics look like today? Well, today we all know this symbol up here, and these rings actually represent, fun fact, the colors that are found in the country's flags of the countries who participate. So like, you know, America, like we have red, the Mexican flag has green, China's flag has yellow in it, some countries' flags have black, others have blue. Like, these are the 5 colors that are found in all of the countries' flags that participate in Olympics. So if you go through every single country's flag, you will find one of those colors, and that's where we get those rings from. Just a little fun tidbit fact right there for you. So a few of the original Olympic events that were played back in ancient Athens are still played today. And we do have the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics. Each are held every 4 years. So this year we were supposed to have the 2020 Summer Olympics, and they were going to be held in Tokyo. Tokyo. I gotta Google that word. Ooh, that is a hard word to spell. I feel like I have it in my head. Tokyo. Oh, I was almost there. Okay. They were going to be held in Tokyo, and then, but now they're going to be held in 2021. So it'll be next year. So that's our Summer Olympics. Well, then in the year 2023, we'll have the Winter. I can't remember where those will be held at. They've already decided that, by the way. They're up until like 2048. And then we'll have 2025 will be summer. And then it will go 2027 will be winter. Okay? And so basically every 2 years we have a seasonal Olympics, whether it's the summer or it's the winter. But in between, like, it's 4 years from the summer 2021 to summer 2025, and 4 years from winter 2023 to winter 2027. Like, those are like 4 years in between, okay? So that's what I mean by each year held every 4 years. We have Olympics every 2 years, but summer and winter are held every 4 years. It could be confusing, but when you draw it out, it makes a little bit better sense. And my math might be a little bit wrong, but it's you get the idea. Another thing that's kind of unique about our modern day Olympics is that cities all over the world have a chance to hold them. So what will happen is cities will come together, countries will come together, and they will submit a vote to the Olympic Council. And the Olympic Council has members of like every single country that's involved, I think, or like region. And I think they're located in Athens, Greece. And they get all these votes from all the countries of what cities should be up for it. And then from that, they look at the cities and they determine, like, is the economy going to be able to support the Olympics? Do they have buildings? Are they going to be able to build the buildings? Is the climate good? Like, if we're doing the Winter Olympics, they probably should not be held in Hawaii because Hawaii is really warm. And so things like the Rio Olympics, those were summer. Like, it would be stupid to put the Winter Olympics in Rio. Like, no, you can't do that. But if you put them like in Canada, like happened one year when they were in Vancouver, Canada, that would make sense. It's a colder climate. So they're going to look at those things. I know there's going to be one, the next one that's in the US, I think is going to be in Los Angeles. I think it's summer 2048, I think. So we got a ways to go till it comes back to us. But it's been in America quite some time. They brought back the modern Olympics in the year of 1896, I think, 96 or 86. But it was in the 1800s. So they've been doing the Olympics for over 100 years in the modern world before they picked it up after the ancient Greeks several years later. And these are some pictures. You know, you've got your soccer, your football, you've got swimming, Winter Olympics, we've got, you know, snowboarding, skiing, ice hockey, bobsledding, skating. I love watching the figure skating. You know, Summer Olympics, you've got horseback riding, you've got table tennis, basketball. I think there's baseball. About baseball. You've got volleyball. That's really fun to watch. There's tons of different events in both Olympics. So there's always something really interesting going on and to watch. So your task is you're going to compare and contrast the Olympics of ancient Greece to the ones of today. And this is what your worksheet's going to look like right here. Okay? That's what you're finding on Google Classroom. I even have a video link to post off to the side to kind of help explain like how to operate this Venn diagram in terms of like clicking it and typing in there. So use that. You will use these resources below to help you learn more about the ancient Olympics and then the modern day Olympics. So this first one is Ancient Olympic Games info. So we're going to click on it. And it's going to take us to this website. Now this website has lots of information, but it's pretty cool. So you don't have to read it all, but it's a good skim. So it talks about, you know, them being held every 4 years, how that does with the dating, talks about women who could compete. Here are some 10 facts about it. You can look about, you know, the spectators, what do spectators do? Here's all the different events. You can read more about the different events. Maybe you're interested in the chariot racing, so you can click here. You can learn more about what the chariot racing was like, okay? But that is that resource. Then if we click on there, this is the modern day sports, okay? So here are all of the summer Olympic sports. Basketball, cycling, canoeing, boxing, diving, that one's really fun. Equestrian, I love that one. Jumping, fencing, golf, gymnastics, rhythmic gymnastics, taekwondo, judo, karate. You know, you got all of those going on, all right? They also have the winter sports. So maybe you have never heard of the lunge or the luge. You can click on it, and it will then take you, depending on how well your internet works. Mine's being suddenly very slow. I do apologize. Okay. Let's try, maybe we don't know about ski jumping. That one's fun to watch. Okay. So here's ski jumping. All right, so there's a picture of the person doing it. You can click on, what the women, these are the hills that the men do. Here's the hills that the women's do. Here's some different articles. Here's a little bit about where it started at. Started in Norway. It was first introduced in the games in 1922, one hill, and then the third hill in 1988 was added. Here's some more feature stories that you can look into. Pictures and videos of the ski jumpers. Some top athletes. Okay? So all great resources there. And also, if you just are bored with quarantine, go learn about the Olympic sports and pick one that you like and you'll be good at. This resource right down here, this one is about the very first Olympic Games. So here is the image of when the first modern Olympic Games, I should say, 1896. Here's what they looked like. They were held in Athens, Greece, the birthplace of the whole Olympics. So here's the dates, how long they lasted, the country. There was 241 athletes that participated, 14 countries, 43 events. There's pictures of what they did. Yes, we have pictures from way back then. Medals, different athletes, what they won. You literally go through. More pictures. Here's the athletes arriving. All great stuff. If you want to see different events, then you could go to, I believe it's the museum. No, you go to the Olympic Games. You would click on all. Okay. Anyway, we'll try this site. So this site right here, this is the official Olympic.org site, okay? And all those previous links came from this website. So if you wanted to know what the Olympic Games were like in America, when it first came to America, in 1904. So you could go to the St. Louis Games. If you wanted to see what they were like in Paris, you can go there. London. If you wanted to revisit Rio is located right here, 2016. Beijing, Athens, you could do Athens 2004. Compare and contrast yourself. But here's a little bit of some information on that. Look at that, 10,625 athletes. That's amazing. So you can kind of go through Michael Phelps. Look at that. So yeah, really great stuff. This website's really, really great. Game results and go through every single one. Shooting, if you're into target practice shooting, that's what that is. So yeah, if you have any questions about the Olympics, reach out to me. Office hours, always a good handy. Don't forget to turn in your site, okay? Your assignment, excuse me. Don't forget to turn that in. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Miss you tons.